Today I'm teaching you how to do $100,000+ assignment fees in real estate. This whole show today is about answering a question I got in my DM, which was, how do I make $100,000 on one deal? And I've done that a few times over the years. And wholesaling, I want to make a video on this because I think it's a fun topic to explore. So this show is a little less serious, a little more light than a lot of my shows normally are, but I think it's something that people will get value from, especially at least if you're actively out there hunting deals. So the first thing you guys need to do if you want to get a $100,000 deal, not focus on areas that aren't supportive of that. So if you're trying to do deals in Arkansas, you're probably not going to do a $100,000 deal most of the time, especially single family. I'm going to talk about single family, commercial, multifamily. Step number one, if you want to do 100 big fees, is focus on big asset classes. So if you really want to, get a massive fee and guarantee that, start focusing on some multifamily, some commercial, some industrial. If you wanted single family $100,000 deal on a wholesale or something like that, focusing on markets with price points usually above $500,000 in terms of after repair value is going to be where we want to be. The higher the better, right? The likelihood of doing a $100,000 assignment fee on a $1 million house is a much higher likelihood than doing a $100,000 assignment fee on a $300,000 house, right? Because that's 33% of the total value of the house versus 10%. When we did our $175,000 fee a couple years ago on a wholesale deal, that was on a after repair value was like a million-ish, I think, maybe 1.1. Because again, you're less of the after repair value. So, and also a lot of hard money lenders don't want to see your fee being 50% of the value of the home. Good ones don't really care, but a lot of them will kind of give you some crap over that. So that's another thing you want to focus on is understanding kind of step by step what market you're in is supportive of a big fee. Because if your market's not supportive of a big fee, it doesn't matter what you want. It's not realistic. So you either go for big deals or focus on markets that actually have big fees. The next part is sales, right? We're in a game of kind of needle in the haystack, right? And I got this question yesterday. I did a webinar last night, and I got this question in the webinar. It's like, hey, I feel like I'm failing. I'm making so many calls and talking to so many sellers, but most of them say no. And I'm like, yeah, the reality is out of 100 offers you make, if you have a couple, 1, 2 that say yes, you have a very profitable business. And so Go for No is a good book to read, but really focusing on like understanding the volume of this, right? Like understanding the volume of the business we're dealing in is assets that people need to sell. And a lot of times people aren't used to selling off market. No one talks about, when you're growing up, you know what a real estate broker is, but you don't know what a freaking wholesaler is or someone that buys real estate off market when you're growing up, going through high school. Like that's a very small part of the economy. So most people don't know about that at all. So if you are practicing wholesaling as an exit strategy, you want a $100,000 fee, you have to have the reps, right? Because the reality is it's a volume game. And the low-hanging fruit deals, the deals you'll get very juicy spreads on, those do happen. But a lot of times those happen at scale. And scale is something that you guys only get with volume repetition. So it is a needle in the haystack game. So if you have 2 leads a day coming in, you say, hey, Core, I want to do $100,000 fee. It's a possible yeah, it's a probable no. And I'm trying to focus this episode on giving you guys a better probability. So the 3 things I talked about so far that could help you get bigger fees is focus on bigger asset classes, focus on markets with higher price points, and then put the reps in because, again, it's a volume needle in the haystack kind of game. Other ways, right? There's certain lists you can focus on. A vacant list is going to provide you a much higher chance of getting a $100,000+ fee. A absentee out of state list, right? Someone that owns a rental property or a vacant property in a state where they don't live. That's going to be a very juicy list. Your vacant list, right? A home that's been verified with a USPS to be vacant. That is going to tend to be a very, very, very juicy list. That's the reality of it. If you are if you, let's say, want to really focus on some sniper lists, going for a probate list, a recently inherited list of homes that have just transferred from one person to another, and they might want to get rid of that home pretty quick. That's another big way that people find these very, very juicy deals. If you are wanting to focus on even more niche lists, you can talk about fire damage lists, code violation lists, water damage lists. The more nitty gritty you get on the type of list, the more work you do on the list, the higher likelihood of a big fee. The more distress, the higher the fee. And that sounds kind of weird to say, but the reality is the rougher of a situation a person is going through, a lot of times that means the quicker they're willing to move on their property, the more emotional they are about their property. Now, my big thing is don't treat anyone like you wouldn't want your grandma to be treated. My biggest fees have come from sellers actually understanding that they could get a lot more money, but they just want to be done with it. My biggest deal ever was a $175,000 fee. And we showed up to the house, and the guy, who was wearing probably a $200,000 watch, walked up to us, said, I just went through a divorce. I don't need the money. I love to see young guys hustling and making money, making something of themselves. I want to do this deal with you guys at $425,000. And we sold that to our buyer that same day at $600,000. That is the reality of volume, focusing on the right price points, and then understanding that these deals are out there. And that guy probably was off a divorce list, right? Because he's going through a divorce. So the more nitty gritty you get in your list, the higher the price points are, the more reps you have, the higher likelihood you're going to get these big fees. And also, there's something to be said about focusing on a certain number. When I got into the real estate game, my first assignment fee ever was $105,000. And the reason I believe it wasn't 10 or 15 or 20, because oftentimes what you focus on, what you feel like you deserve, manifests. And I'm not big into like woo-woo manifestation stuff, but I am big in, I think focus and intention plays a big part in what correlates and happens in reality. And for me, when I got into real estate, I saw these guys posting $40,000 deals, $50,000 deals, $60,000 deals, $70,000 deals. And so my mind wasn't on $5,000 or $10,000 deals. And being in a market like Seattle with higher price points, of course, helps this. But my mind was not on little dinky deals. My mind was always, I want a $100,000 deal. And lo and behold, my first deal was a $105,000 assignment fee. That was pretty life-changing at the time. I think I was 19. I just turned 19 years old or so. So the reality is you can go very, very, very far and do a lot of big fees if you control a couple key factors, right? I know a lot of guys that do several $100,000 on fees on commercial multifamily and deals of that nature. Lower volume, but it's possible. You need to be better at underwriting. You need to be more educated because you're dealing with a more educated seller. But that's one way to jump your fees up pretty quickly, is focusing on other asset classes like land, like commercial, like industrial, things of that nature. Other way, again, higher price points. Then we talk about skills and reps and having a belief system where you feel like you not only deserve but are capable of doing these big deals. Because the reality is, if you can do big deals, you have a leg up, because those liquidity events are large and you can scale a company pretty quickly when you have a couple $100,000 plus checks coming in per year. So a shorter episode today, you guys. Q&A topic I thought was interesting to explore together on a show, and I hope you got some value out of this today. Well, it's a fun show, you guys. I put out a lot of serious shows lately, so I wanted to mix it up to something more fun. I think it's a topic that's always fun to explore, is how do we bump our fees up, and how do we get some whale deals in the door, because those are some freaking fun deals to do. As always, I like a share review. This podcast only grows organically through word of mouth, so if you tell a friend, it means the world. We do listen to your feedback. Clearly, this is a question that came out of the DM. We do also listen to your requests, complaints, and everything in between. So as always, you are only one deal away.